all the panelists who are over here. So today we've got, stars on our panel, who are panelists over here. Each one is a stalwart. So let me start by introducing the three of them. I'll start with Mr. Arun Kumar, who's the Vice President of AMTOI, Honorary Treasurer of ACFI, and the Managing Director of InSynergy Supply Chain Solutions Private Limited. Mr. Dushyant Mulani is Director Khimji Punjab Freight Forwarders Private Limited, Chairman Federation of Freight Forward Association of India, President Brihan Mumbai Custom Brokers Association, Director International Federation of Custom Brokers Association, Member IMC Chamber of Commerce and Industry Shipping and Logistics Committee, and Member Customs Consultative Group Meeting, and a lot more. But he's only shared only these with us. Then we have Mr. Sitaram, who is also who is a company secretary, has more than 4 decades of freight of experience in the freight forwarding industry, and a GST expert. They trust me when I say this. I have said very less about these people, and there is nobody who does not know the three panelists who are on board today. These three gentlemen, stalwarts of our industry, will be leading an informative online session on the GST and RCM, as advised and shared by AMTOI to its esteemed participants of today. So please join us as Arun Kumar, Dushyantji, and Sitaramji shed light on the critical aspects of GST and RCM and their significance in navigating the landscape of our business. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before I hand over this to the panelists, I have to mention that today, before we commence today's session, please note all the insights shared by today's panelists are with respect to the issued advisory only. Participants are encouraged to consult with their respective legal and financial advisors for specific guidance tailored to their unique circumstances. With that, let's extend a warm welcome to the panelists. Sir, if you may please take on from here. Thank you.
Thank you, Harish Bhai. Thank you very much for that very generous introduction.
But trust me, it was not generous. I had to keep it very short.
But it was yet generous. Thank you so much. Uh, Ladies and gentlemen, namaskar. My name is Arun, and right now I'm the Vice President of AMTOI. And if you can see, this is being hosted under ILG banner. So allow me to introduce ILG. So basically, Indian Logistics Guild is a formation which is for of 8 leading associations in the country in our domain. The Association of Multimodal Transport Operators of India, AMTOI, the Federation of Freight Forwarders Association of India, FFAI, Air Cargo Forum India, ACFI, Consolidators Association of India, or CAI, the Air Cargo Agents Association of India, ACAI, the National Shipping Association of India, INSA, the Indian Coastal Conference Shipping Association, ICCSA. Now, ICCSA you might not particularly be aware of, but they are the Association of Coastal Shipping. So that is just for your understanding. Then All India Transport Welfare Association, ITWA. So the 8 associations have got together to create a formation called Indian Logistics Guild with a clear objective to bring one voice to the industry and achieving common objectives. It is having a motto of Tat Parivartan Bhava, which in other words, loosely translated is be the change you want to see in the others. So others in this case is we have to be first taking responsibility of creating that change. This is a disclaimer which has been displayed on your screen now. I'll just give you maybe 2-3 minutes just to read through it. So the disclaimer is critical 2 points. One is, indemnifying ILG and all its constituents for all the consequences which may uh, occur by your action or inaction on the presentation. And second point is the antitrust, which is mandated by law. So we are not going to be discussing any agreements or rates which will, you know, which will cause a violation of the Competition Act. So I'm assuming that you have read this and you're okay with this. You confirm this. If you don't, then I would request you please exit, because anything further, if you go further, we assume that you are confirming this. Harish bhai, you wanted to say something on this?
Absolutely. Please go ahead. Let's start.
Right. Thank you very much.
I just also want to welcome Shantanu sir as one of our panelists. Since Rama sir was not there, I'd also invited Shantanu sir. So he's also there. And he needs no introduction. He's our immediate past president and managing director of ATC Group and one of our gurus in the industry.
So
Namaskar. Thanks.
before I start, I would also like to welcome and Shantanu sir. Welcome, sir.
Thanks.
So we move forward on this. So this is the chart that had been prepared and it was shared with all, at least AMTOI members, with an advisory that this is as per our best understanding how GST should be charged. I'm hoping that, as Priya mentioned, that people have gone through it, but I'll quickly run through this chart just for everybody's understanding. The first column specifies is the one which is colored, which party you're billing to, whether you're billing it to a party in India or a party overseas. So we have just categorized that in two parts. And the first part, or the one which is in blue color, that is for all the transactions which are being billed to a party in India. What are the heads is, for example, export cargo, the ocean freight, whether IGST, CGST or SGST is charged. I'm sure you all understand that. I don't need to explain why it is IGST or CGST, SGST. It is depending on which state to state you are doing the billing. The tax rate has been specified as 5%. RCM, whether RCM is applicable from purchase from foreign party, it is not applicable because normally ocean freight is bought within India. So this RCM is only on the purchases that you're making. Similarly, export cargo, other origin and destination charges. So when you're doing an export, you might be doing some sort of ex-works charges here, or you might also be doing some sort of destination delivery charges. So on that, 18% is chargeable. That is in forward charge mechanism. But on RCM, on the purchase, 18% on the destination charges. Now, since this is an export shipment, for all your purchases within the country, you have already paid in forward charges. But on the destination, where you have been billed by your partners overseas, 18% RCM, 18% GST has to be paid under RCM on your purchases. And similarly, this chart goes. So there is a, if you see the last three columns of this chart, last three of this section rather, you can see third country shipments, which is cross trade basically, air freight, ocean freight, and other origin and destination charges. Similarly, in the pink side, which is when you're billing it to foreign party, the same things are there at the bottom. Now, this might look like a repetition, but it is not. For a very simple reason that what you have to charge is written here is 18, 5, and 18. Whereas at the bottom it is nil, nil, nil because it is being billed overseas. However, RCM is applicable in both cases on all your purchases which you are doing from overseas party. So this is just a brief of what we have, compiled, and it has taken a lot of deliberation, lot of brainstorming on this. There have been multiple debates on the subject because of certain reasons. Some good time experts have joined that discussion, and we have looked at this threadbare. And this is to the best of our knowledge and understanding. Again, as was specified earlier, you have to consult your legal team before you implement it. Now, Dushan Bhai, Sitaram sir.
Yes, Arun sir. Tell me.
Basically, this is the chart we had shared. So, इसमें अब I think there was some sort of a debate. The major debate happened on the origin and destination charges. That was a point of debate because of the two sections which were causing the confusion. And we had to really dig deep into it to find some resolution for it. But fortunately, there was a clarification which came out. Government issued a clarification late, but that clarification holds good retrospectively. So I think that should have brought things a little bit more clarity.
Yes,
yes.
in fact, this October 2023 circular has, to an extent, very specifically clarified with reference to Section IGST Act Section 13(2) as regards place of service and supply.
Correct.
Now, however, a lot of friends from the industry are in constant touch because they've been levied notices, and some of the state GST authorities have been after it quite a bit more. And the circular is absolutely clear. And once it is a circular, it is clarifying a taxation aspect so that there is no ambiguity of even taxing the earlier transactions. With that in hindsight, I would request that on this platform, if anybody has any issues, if they are facing of this kind, for DTPs, DDUs, or any such kind of transactions, third country export, we can surely make a reference, make a representation to the GST authorities, to CBIC also, and try and see that the provisions of this circular, which was issued on 27th October 2023, are upheld by the officers, whether be it state GST or central GST. So let's work on it. Let's take feedback. Members facing any issues, we can jointly represent it.
Sure, that will be real help. Shantu sir, you had raised your hand. You can unmute, please.
Yeah, I have to make 3 quick points, Arun.
Sir.
Number one, clarification is retrospective. I just want to amplify on that. Clarification is on the circular, so there is no prospective or retrospective. It's not an amendment. If it was an amendment, then there is a need to give retrospective. The clarification is on the circular, so it is effective from the date of the circular, and I have no doubt about it because we have dealt with similar issues in the past in the board. Second is what Dushyant said is critically important. Please approach the association immediately. I can assure you that the bandwidth of knowledge we have in association, both practical and theoretical and networking, is better than any lawyer or chartered accountant. And we have solved more problems than all of them put together. Particularly people like Dushyant and Arun have developed direct relations in board where we get problems sorted out on goodwill and not by wrong means. Lastly, this sheet has been prepared after a lot of arguments, lot of deliberations, and there can be more. I am not saying this is a final word. So please participate and make this perfect. But one thing that helps all of us is uniformity. When the entire industry reads and implements in the same manner, it becomes that much harder for the GST department or even custom department to interpret it differently and take big demands on us. I am not saying they will not do that, but it makes it that much harder for them. So this is something which we can be successful only with your active participation and adopting common standards across the industry. Thanks. I think this intervention I thought was critical. Arun, back to you.
Sir, your inputs are always critical and it's very insightful. So thank you very much for that. I think what we'll do is we'll just go through some very basic concepts to be understood on this. One is the export of services. Now, as we had discussed earlier, with DDP, DDU, or X-Works charges, there has been some confusions. Now, those confusions were related to a couple of sections which we'll come to in the next slide. But first, we need to understand where did this originate from and what is the concept on which we are, deliberating. So first, we need to understand what is export of services. So if you read section 2(6) of IGST Act, which is here reproduced, a service has to qualify these 5 parameters to be considered as a export of service. Now, one of the parameters, which is parameter 3, which has been highlighted here, is a place of supply of services, which has to be outside India to be considered as an export of services. So this I had just put for reference sake, so that you understand that why place of supply becomes critical, and then what happens when there is a change in place of supply. So here we have put in 2 sections. Now if you read IGST section 12(8) and IGST section 13, the problem here became, arose, or the doubts arose because section 13 says something which was different, and it is a successive section. So it holds good if there is a contradiction between 2 sections. The successive section has to be considered as per law. So in section 12(8), if you see, it very clearly specifies the place of supply of services by way of transportation of goods, including by mail or courier. It says including by mail or courier. Then it gives A and B, provided that the transportation of the goods is to a place outside India, the place of supply shall be the place of destination of such goods. That is how this particular section has to be read. Now, there is a small problem that people, came across is when they read section 13(3)(a). I am for this moment just ignoring section 13(2). So if you read section 13, subsection 3, subsection A, it says place of supply of following services shall be the location where service is actually performed, namely, services supplied in respect of goods which are required to be made physically available by the recipient of service or the supplier of service or a person acting on behalf of the supplier of service in order to provide the service. Now, this particular wording created a lot of confusion in the minds of the taxpayer. Although the intent of this has been clarified. In fact, if I recall, if my memory serves me right, it was, I think, 103 of circular 103 of 2019, which was issued, which brought clarity to this particular wording. That was in respect of services provided by the port. And ports have actually claimed SEIS, which was a lot of us have not been able to claim. So it was considered as export of service. And that clarity came after that circular that this is intended for something else. Now, I'll come to what it is intended for. Now, for us, we took it as 13(2), the place of supply of service, except for the services specified in subsection 3 to 13. Now, this is 3, which we had read earlier. 3 to 13 shall be the location of recipient of service, which is as similar to what is written in, section 12.8. So we took it as that, but there was confusion with regard to this, the section, subsection 3, subheading A. There was a clarification which came out, which Dushyant was also mentioning, 203/2023, which was on 27th October 2023. I have just, because it was in 2 pages, so I had to, cut, paste, and you can see some bit of a clutter on the 4th line. But this is just to bring it to your knowledge that in the very first point, 1.1, in case where the location of supplier of service or the location of recipient of service is outside India, will be determined by the default rule under section 13(2) of IGST Act and not as performance-based service under subsection 3 of section 13, which is what we had seen in the previous of the IGST Act. Accordingly, in the case where location of recipient of service is available, the place of supply of such service shall be the location of recipient of service. I think this gives ample lot of clarity to the whole subject. And since this is a clarification circular, the clarification circular becomes, it is applicable from the date of the notification itself. So you cannot say that it does not apply before the following date, that is before 27th October. This applies from 2017 when the original IGST was implemented. So that is the base point of the whole, understanding. Sitaram sir?
Yes.
Sir, is this understanding correct as per what we have just discussed?
Perfect. Perfect. I'll just add one more thing in this.
Sure.
Like in the service tax, this section 13 has to be read from the last subsection and not from the first. You go on eliminating it and then come to 13.3, and once you have eliminated 13.3, you are left with only 13.2, and
Correct.
this becomes an export of service.
Perfect. So a lot of people, Sitaram sir, had actually, when we were debating it, they said, "तो फिर 13.3 का जरूरत क्या है?" So then, I had given an example. I'd like to share that example. That, for example, I am the agent of a foreign company. Now, foreign company has supplied some goods to an Indian party, and they have assigned me the role of servicing that goods during maybe warranty. In which case, I am doing the service of that good in India, providing that service of that particular equipment, but billing it to that foreign party. In which case, section 13(3)(a) will become applicable, and it is subject to GST. That is what I had given as an example even then. So, is that part also? I mean, is there any other example that we can probably think of for that particular subsection?
See, here I'll just add the concept of intermediary has also to be added in this, where you are working as an intermediary. This gets covered. The example you have given is a very relevant example where you have got the goods for repair or etc., and where you are undertaking the repair in India and billing it to a foreign party. That is where the place of provision of service gets applicable. So intermediary services are excluded from this. And if you are working only as an intermediary, let's be clear, it will be you are liable. It cannot be treated as export of service.
Perfect, perfect. So performance-based service is actually meant for a different purpose, but it was interpreted by a lot of people that no, it is meant for even the export shipments that we handle as ex-works or import shipment that we handle for DDU basis. So I think that amply clarifies, and particularly this circular. I mean, I don't think there is any doubt left after this particular circular, although it came in very recently in October 23. But as I said, there was a circular which came for a port, and in that they specified this, that although ports are physically handling, it will not be considered as performance-based service. It will be considered as export of service only. The place of supply will be to a third country. So I think it was clear then also, but somehow that It was not specifically saying it, so it caused a bit of a confusion. So if you gentlemen, Rama sir is also joined. I think he's in the car. Sir, welcome, sir. You're on mute, sir. रामा सर गाड़ी चला रहे हैं क्या?
नहीं ड्राइवर है.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Arun ji.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining. We just had finished that chart, and we were discussing on the section 13.2 and 13.3a. So I think we can open up for questions. What I would request everybody is please keep your questions relevant only to the subject. GST is a very large subject. If you keep if your questions go to other aspects of GST, is going to be very complicated. So I would humbly request that you keep it only to the specific topic that we are discussing. Shantanu sir, you wanted to say something?
Arun, before you open up, means questions are open anyhow. I would say, please share what were the apprehensions we had and what were the likely interpretations we were countering. So that will trigger good ideas, and that will also help people remove about that apprehension later on.
Yes, sir. So basically, people felt that since a performance, since if you read this particular, subsection 3A, it says service provided in respect of goods which are required to be made physically available. Now, everybody thought since the goods are being physically made available, then this will become imperative that we use this section, and this section applies on those services. But this is not, that was not the intent of the lawmaker, and that they have clarified. So, though the goods will always be physically, see, we are not handling the goods, we are handling the movement of goods. So, the services are there. So, and this is not on behalf of a third party. We are, it is a principal to principal movement. So, this was the apprehension that people had, and they probably took wordings of the particular sentence too literally. That in case there is any physical involvement of goods, so in any case, even if you say export of, that is my own personal take on this is, even general export of a cargo, even if you're moving a container, you are in any case going to be touching the goods. There are goods involved. So you cannot say that this section gets applied no matter what. So that is what was clarified. And if you see, I can probably even dig out that particular circular which I was referring to. It was 103, if I'm not mistaken, in 2019, which clarified this for the port. Ports also handle containers. Now, those containers are also physically provided by us or the freight forwarders or the exporters. That doesn't imply that it doesn't qualify as export of services. So this was specifically meant in cases where the services were performed in India to a person based on some instructions given by, as I had given the specific case of service under repair. So any capital good that has been provided in India by a foreign company, and then the service contract has been given, let's say, to Insynergy as a company. Insynergy does the service, but Insynergy requires to be paid for the service. It cannot bill the party in India because party in India is, for him, the capital equipment is under warranty. So Insynergy bills to a foreign principal, in which case Insynergy is required to charge GST because 13.3a becomes applicable. But it is not in the case of transport of goods, which again has been clarified by the circular which we were referring to, the current circular, 203/2023. So shall we take the
They
question?
have also given an example. They have also
Sir?
given an example there. They have also given an example there.
In the circular, sir?
In the circular?
Yeah. I have not seen. I don't recall the example of the circular.
Okay.
The proviso.
Rama, can you quickly share the example?
No, I am in the car. I just come out of the SCN, so I can't really do it.
No,
Okay.
but
So
I don't think there was an example given in the circular, sir.
I'll no, there's no example. I'll just add the provisority 13.3A is also clarificatory in nature. If you can just put the screen back. It says, provided that when such services are provided from a remote location by way of electronic means, the supply shall be the location where the goods are situated at the time of the supply of service. So if you are going to do an online repair of a particular equipment, and if the equipment is located in, say, Singapore, it becomes an export. Whereas if
Correct.
the same equipment is located in India, it's a supply done in the place of provision of supply is India, not outside India. Outside India is very critical. Handling goods is incidental to the nature of our business. So
Correct.
both have to be separated and
Correct.
treated independently.
Correct,
They
sir.
are sine qua non, as you say.
Correct. So we will take the questions. If Priya,
Yes, you can stop the presentation so that I can take the questions. A couple of you are raising their hands. I'd like to understand why they are raising hands. Please put in your questions on Q&A box. And in case you have a question and you want to come live to ask a question, I would request you to put that request also on Q&A box so that I'm able to compile it properly. Please help me. It is very difficult to look at the chat, this and the low hand being raised, everything together. So request everyone's cooperation. To start with, let me just bring on screen the questions which I've already compiled as of now. Yeah, can everyone see the questions?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So we have the first question from Ms. Ramya, who she's asking, request to elaborate on ex-works shipments. Is GST applicable on THC charges, local transportation charges, other inland services provided on export shipments to overseas?
So the question here would be probably, are you billing it to the overseas agent? I think that is what they've specified, export shipment to overseas agent. Service provided to export shipment to overseas agent.
Overseas agent, yes.
In my view, no. GST is not applicable.
So, Arun, while you say GST is not
Yeah, your
applicable,
sharing has stopped. Please share the screen.
Arun, while you're mentioning that GST is
I will
not
stop
applicable,
sharing in between so that I can add more questions. So that since we were discussing on one question, so I just stopped sharing so that people can see that. But I'll keep sharing the screen again and so that more questions can be added.
okay, Arun, while you are answering this, just a little clarification that you were saying that GST is not applicable on this. But at the same time, when we are paying that payment over here, we are paying GST on these payments locally.
Correct.
So what happens to that is also something that you should clarify.
You will definitely be eligible to take ITC subject to the ITC regulation. You are allowed to take ITC of it, and what you're billing overseas becomes export of service. It is not you are not required to charge GST on it.
Arun, add LUT.
Correct.
I'll add one more point to this.
Yes, sir.
In case you are invoicing to a Indian exporter, you would have had the THC or the other receipted charges as a pure agent services, by which you collect the GST paid, it becomes nullified. But in case of exports, when you are invoicing to an overseas customer, client of yours, you are not taking it as a pure agent services. So you are constrained to add GST. So that's where, as Mr. Shantanu says, when you export under LUT, you get the recovery of it, to recover that cost. So, and as Mr. Arun says, this GST incurred, you recover as a ITC, input tax credit. One more thing, small thing I'll add here. There are many of our freight forwarder friends who confuse Mohit Mineral with freight forwarding industry. Mohit Mineral is for the industry, and that is not for the freight applicable to the freight forwarders.
Correct.
So you should not mix up both. Our services are import services or export services. Pure and simple.
True.
Thank you.
Thank you. I guess that is the clarification people are actually looking at also.
Here, the one point, important point on this TAC charges is regarding if you are handling any of the SEZ activities, it is totally not taxable. And a lot of our colleagues were paying, and now they've realized that they've paid it wrongly. So that's also an important aspect, because that content of SEZ consignments are also increasing a lot.
Sir, Dushyant sir, I'll add one more thing. Before we file a bill of entry or file the documents, we have to be very clear. The documentation has to be perfect, and we have to mention that it is SEZ, and to the custodian or the port authority, we have to mention clearly. We have to clarify that it is an SEZ shipment. Invariably, what happens is the cargo comes out, and then we realize, hey, it's an SEZ shipment, and then we start fighting for it. That should not be done. Before the shipment is given or the handled, we must be clear on what we are doing.
Yeah, yeah, Arunji, let's get it.
Yeah, we'll take the next question. The next question.
The question is from Darshan. Why GST is payable on foreign territory related origin destination charges? The place of supply would not be in India, and therefore it should not be import of service. I'm assuming he's referring to, let's say, X works charges and the DDP charges charged in India. Import, in the case of import, I'm assuming he's talking about X works charges in case of import and DDP charges in case of an export shipment. When we are billing to the importer or the exporter in India, why should that a foreign territory related origin or destination charge be charged? Is the question.
Although Priya, I understood it slightly differently, that it is probably a cross-trade shipment that he's referring to, in which case the goods are not even coming to India. They're going from one foreign territory to another foreign territory. Either ways, the place of supply has to be very clearly understood. Now, in case of a normal shipment, let's say DDU, DDP shipment, origin destination charges which are there, or ex-works charges in case of import shipment, the recipient of service is in India. Similarly, in cross trade, we as the cargo agents become recipient of service of one leg, which is of the inbound shipment, or the purchase that we have made from the overseas agent. We become the recipient, in which case under RCM we are required to give the GST charges. I am hoping that this has clarified what Mr. Darshan is asking, but because it was I understand that a lot of questions cannot be worded well, particularly when it comes to GST or taxation. But I think this is what I have understood from his question, and this is my response to it. Gentlemen, anybody wants to add to that?
Arun, since you said it's not easy to articulate questions, I think Priya has suggested that if people want to speak up instead of write, please make such a request and Priya will organize it. And I perfectly understand it is not so easy to articulate questions. So please use any language you want and don't be shy of making a mistake. In questions, there are no mistakes. Only answers can be wrong. So
We have
take the
requests from,
opportunity to spell out anything you want to say. Yeah,
we
sorry,
have
Priya, go ahead.
yeah, we have requests from Mr. Darshan to put him online. So I'm asking him to speak. Just a minute. I'll stop sharing so that we can see him better. Mr. Darshan, you can speak now.
Good evening, everyone. My question is with respect to the handling or the land charges incurred at the foreign territory, where we are saying that GST is payable under RCM at 18%. This is in the context of the education guide clarification given by CBEC earlier under service tax, where they had said that the when goods are temporarily coming into the possession of the service provider, then the place of performance is the place of supply. And
Before you move forward on this, one very clear distinction that you need to understand is between service.
Arun, before anybody replies, I have to make a very fundamental comment.
Exactly. I know what you're saying, sir. That is exactly why I brought in. There is a very fundamental difference between GST and service tax, which you have to understand. And if you are referring to anything at the service tax side, you are probably missing out that particular fundamental difference. Shantanu sir, please.
No, I'm going on a even more fundamental level. The only way you can learn the GST regime is you completely unlearn and forget the service tax regime. So
Absolutely.
long as you have hangover of service tax regime and those interpretations and definitions in mind, you will never adjust to GST regime. Please control, alter, delete, and remove that from your mind and start GST afresh. Thank you. Back to you.
Right. Mr. Darshan, with this fundamental difference, if you can rephrase your question, probably you will be able to
so,
answer it better.
sir, my point here is that since the place of supply provisions under service tax and the place of supply, I mean, are exactly similarly worded. The 13.2 under the 13.3A under the section of IGST Act and Rule 4 of place of provision of service rules are exactly similarly worded. And this was the clarification given by the board at that time. That is why I'm referring to that. Otherwise, I would not have referred to that provision, sir.
Sitaram sir.
Yeah, I'll answer this here. I don't want to, like Mr. Shantanu says, I don't want to refer to service tax at all because concepts are very different. They have been borrowed from service tax and excise and all those things, but concept of GST is very different. Number one, my question to you, Mr. Darshan, you have received the money in India for
So this
whatever.
is about my expense side. I'm talking about
No, 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 no,
RCM,
no,
sir.
no, no. I'm coming to it. I'm coming to it, sir. I'll lead you to the expense.
Okay.
You are receiving the money in India for your proceeds, your invoice, you are raising an invoice from India
Yes, yes, sir.
and you are receiving the money. So
Yes, sir.
for you, the service rendered by your overseas counterpart in location B, which is the recipient, from location A, which is the supplier, technically, B is an importer. And for you, it becomes an import of service. Let's be, or you put it that way. So when it becomes an import of service, you have to pay on reverse charges. Freight, 5%, and on other charges, 18%, which is allowable as an ATC deduction for you. So there's no financial loss for you. If you're looking at the loss, financial cost, no, there's no cost. But then there's a compliance issue. So when you are receiving money in foreign exchange, you must correspondingly provide for those expenses also so that there is no variation and you are in compliance with law. That's my point. Any other point anybody else has?
So, Darshan, is that what you were looking for? Is that satisfactory enough?
Just one more point. I just want to.
Yeah, please. Mr. Darshan, we can't hear you.
Yeah, are you able to hear me now, sir?
Yeah, yeah.
The circular of 2023, which we are referring, is specifically clarifies for transportation of goods.
Right.
Then, are we interpreting that handling charges and land charges will also be falling under the same circular clarification, or we are saying that that has to be differently read?
So there is something called a continuity of service. So when your contract is being formed, there's a continuity of service, right? So you're not just doing one part, you're doing a lot of things, and this is a specific service that that has been contracted by you. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes.
So you cannot segregate it. That is how it should be interpreted.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So while I
Yeah, so while I bring up more questions, I have a large complaint from one of our favorite members. So I'll first bring him online. May I bring Mr. Afzal online, please?
Absolutely.
He says we are not allowing him to speak, so allow me to get him on place
Everybody,
first.
No,
namaskar.
it is not allowing me to speak. There are
No,
certain
no.
things which we want to get more clarification because we don't agree what the panelists are saying, and you cannot say that I should agree for everything what the panelists are saying. We have
Absolutely.
our own
We
version. Which
absolutely
listen.
understand
Let
that,
me
sir.
complete it. Let me
Yeah.
complete it. We want to, check with him whether he is right or we are right. It is not
I
that
agree,
every time
sir.
I should be right. You see, I am a totally ignorant man, so I may also have some of my views. If you keep everybody on mute, then we have to just listen and go what they are saying, and whatever they say, we have to just listen and keep quiet and go home. That's it. That is not correct
I
way.
absolutely understand that, sir. The reason is this is a webinar mode, and if everybody starts speaking, it will become a little difficult. That is why I already said who all want to speak, I will allow. I allowed you earlier. I've brought you
You
here
see,
again
here
for
he's
this.
saying,
We'll want to do it.
you see, the export of now Ramaya's first question, export shipment, that's regarding export. Now, applicable DSC and THC and all, whether it is applied, Arun said no. Now, I think that no is only on a bundle of service. If you are going to show it separately on the invoice, that is what the clarification given by all the chartered accountants. You have to charge it to your foreign agent also. If you are going, if you are issuing now, for example, I don't have in air we don't issue MTD. We have house error bill that doesn't show pickup from Pune by road to Bombay and from Bombay. So that means I have to show it separately. So I have to charge. So you cannot say that you don't have to charge. You don't have to charge if you're showing only in a bundle of services. That means there is a misleading. That is the only reason. No, sir. I understand what you're trying to tell me. I'm wrong. You
No,
please
sir.
check. You
I'm
please
not
check very
saying that, sir.
thoroughly. Then
Sir,
we'll
sir,
come
sir,
back.
अफजल
sir.
भाई मैं अपने
Afzal
ग्रुप
sir,
को ऐसा बोल ही नहीं सकता.
Afzal sir, this is the first time I've come here. I wouldn't say every participant here is right. In fact, panelists are wrong. But I have only one point in this, sir. You are not providing, you are providing an export of service. You are, that export has many, many components. You used a very beautiful term, bundle of services. It is bundled. Each you can you segregate one aspect of their work and say, okay, I've done this and go back home. No, unless the cargo export is loaded or vessel is container is loaded onto the vessel and reaches the destination, your job is not complete. So you have to look at it holistically,
Sir,
combined
your
together.
sir,
Then
your
only talk.
document should show the complete bundle of work what you have done. That is
No,
an MTD. In house bill, there is nothing like that. In house,
sir,
I'm
if you
talking about air. You see, we are not talking about see. I've seen most 99% we are only talking about sea freight. I'm not talking about sea freight at all.
no, sir, air freight and sea freight, it is only the mode of transportation differs. Otherwise, the
Sir,
concept
I
is the same.
don't agree with you at all. You can please recheck thoroughly with anybody. If it is not shown separately, you will have to charge. I have been, I've checked with all, even the biggest chartered accountant in Bombay, when we went and, checked with them.
So,
Sir,
Afzal bhai, I'll take this point.
I think you moved me, otherwise it's not going to end. Priya.
No, Afzal bhai, I take your point very intently. We have duly understood what you are trying to point at. Here, there are few friends of across the industry, particular in Chennai region, who had faced similar issues, and they could resolve their queries on basis of their contract which was signed with the foreign supplier. You may not have a MTO document for air transportation uh, because we've dealt with it personally. We had met the then DG GST there who was handling both customs and GST charges both that time. And we did show that this is the breakup. This is how we deal with our foreign suppliers. We don't have a single document like we have for ocean as case of multimodal transportation. But if you have a contract in place, where the breakup is given, then he understood. Then he said, okay, give me this declaration and let your chartered accountant certify it and give it to me. This is how live issue which was resolved. That's what I'm sharing for the consumption of the house. And the main exercise of holding this, uh, Afzal bhai and everybody, is that this is a crucial input what you are giving,
Sir,
feedback.
don't take me wrong.
No,
Now
no,
you
I'm
see,
not taking. I'm not
listen to
taking
me,
wrong.
Dushan bhai. You said that you have to give this clarification to the commissioner over there. That means the objection had come.
Yes, it had come. That's
Yes.
what I'm
So
sharing.
that means that has to be clarified. So we had to give the complete picture. And
Yes,
tell
yes,
me one
yes,
thing. In that
yes.
case, what had he mentioned on the invoice as what? Only freight or something else he had mentioned over there? What was
No.
the invoice he has raised to the foreign agent? What was the wording there? What was the nomenclature there?
See, absolutely, it was pointed out that delivery to
Only
the
freight.
destination, freight, breakup was given, each ex-work charges in India, destination charges, other handling charges were given at the origin and at the destination both. Everything was there. And on strength of that, it was handled. So here we want this crucial inputs. This is what is required. That's why this healthy discussion is so crucial, and it will help us to make representations. And nobody is offended, Afzal bhai. We require people like you to drive us.
No, 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 no,
Yes.
not that. No, no,
Yeah,
no,
get
no.
a
Please
proper
don't
feedback of it.
misunderstand me for anything.
No, no, we want it.
We
Afzal,
are not
you
at all
bring
misunderstanding you. I
Afzal,
already said
Afzal,
you
you
are one
bring
of my favorite people. You're already
Afzal,
one of
you
my
bring
favorite people.
Afzal, you always bring life to interaction, but you would have done better if you had put your screen on. Without your screen
That is all
Sorry,
on,
blocked
sir.
by,
I did.
it's all blocked by you only, not by me. It's
Yeah,
all
yeah,
blocked by you. I
yeah.
just have to
He's
listen and go
Arey
home. That's
Afzal,
all.
this is not a video conference mode. This is a webinar mode.
So that's what
So
I'm
that
saying.
is
So,
how it will be.
I can't even get a chai from you.
uh, he can switch on his video now. I've put him in the panelist for a few
Now
minutes.
put
No,
So
on.
no, no, no. Thank you very
So
much.
let
Don't do
us see
that. Don't do
all
that.
your anger come.
So, here, this is what we require. Anybody who's facing this real-time actual situations, we want this feedback because when we represent, if a note goes properly from uh, CBIC to GST Council, it may take 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, but yes, the issue is taken up. Some clarification does come up, minutes do come up from GST Council. So this is what we want to take it ahead in a very meaningful exercise. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Azhar bhai. This is the first time I've seen you angry. You are always very soft. आज आप एकदम पूरा लोटा पानी लेके चढ़ गए थे.
अरे नहीं सर, इसे हम खाली सुनते जाओ, जो भी आप बोले सुनते जाओ क्या? हमारे ऊपर
नहीं,
आर्ग्यूमेंट हो तो हम किधर जाएगा आर्ग्यू करने?
No,
नहीं.
but
I
I would,
request,
I
gentlemen,
think
I'll request, we have a whole list of
I,
questions. We need
yeah, I
to
know.
go forward. Please, sorry for disrupting the session now, but we need to have a lot of, because people have these issues and we really need to take it up. So, over to the third question. I cannot see GST percentage on multimodal shipment, which I was told is 12%. Wow. Arunji.
So this thing is subject to, you're talking of the domestic multimodal or international multimodal. That was the point. So if
no,
it is,
we had a clarification. Again, I said we had this experience earlier. GST of 12% on multimodal was domestic, and we had big effort lobbying in CBIC. They have supported us and they have clarified, and GST Council has clarified. So it's not limited to board. Even the GST Council has clarified that 12% GST is for domestic multimodal, and it was on the request of domestic multimodal transport operator, 12% GST was levied. So I think the distinction between domestic and international is very clear in GST by this clarification.
She also wanted to know the circular number.
Circular number I have just shown on the screen.
No problem. We can, what I'll also do after the session is send this questionnaire to all the panelists. They'll have to
This is
answer
a
this.
pre-COVID clarification.
No, this was the recent one was 203/2023.
No. I'm talking about the 12% multimodal.
Okay, yeah. This was pre-COVID, so we'll send it across.
Yeah, like I said, after the session, there's already multiple requests on WhatsApp for me. So all these questions will be compiled. The panelists will write their answers on this, and we will send it along with the video link to all the participants. So thank you for your patience, everyone. The next question is from Mr. Prabhanjan. Please let us know whether RCM applicable on overseas membership subscription, for example, WCA, Win Network, and IATA and FIATA.
It is applicable, but although it is not a part of this webinar, I'm just saying it in one word. It is applicable. Please pay RCM, the GST and RCM on this. Move to the next question.
Mr. Mohammad Hasim Banja, his question is, if services taken from Indian vendor for export of ocean freight, it is chargeable as 5% IGST. If same has been taken from foreign agent, why it is no NA? Can this be paid under RCM to government?
I know it is not applicable. It is applicable.
There is no such ocean freight.
Arun, now you have to get close to the mic and speak in the mic. So far you were good.
Not applicable. Where is it written NA? In one of our sheets?
No, it is not.
So I don't know. I mean, it is applicable.
It is applicable to our customer. We will be charging, and for the overseas agents invoice, we have to pay in RCM.
Yes.
Yes, please. There is no confusion on that. Mr. Afzal's question was, annexure does not mention GST percentage of multimodal shipment. I think it is 12%. We've just clarified that. That is for domestic market only and not for international. Mr. Hira Khan's question is, foreign party, third country shipment. If we have third country purchase and third country billing, then how can we avail SENVAT, which is paid on RCM basis, if there is no local billing? That is covered in the chart, but Arunji, over to you to explain.
ITC. You're talking of ITC.
Yes.
You can claim ITC subject to the ITC rules, as I mentioned in that time.
Priya, can you open the chart? I think since there is a clarification notwithstanding chart, can you open the chart?
Once I do that.
The chat is already
Chart.
Chart Arun has to share.
Yeah.
I'll just stop sharing. Yeah.
Yes, so the chart is here. Why did we open this? For clarification on...
For that question over there, people will be more comfortable with a chart.
For third country shipments, we were just discussing that. So
Okay.
it's in your Indian party, third country shipment, ocean, IGST 5%, 5% RCM on purchase.
So
last three lines, basically last three.
That's
rows.
right.
No, I'll explain. Here we've written export cargo, air freight is NA, import cargo, air freight is NA. And then in the first one, we are saying export cargo, other origin destination charges. Yes, if destination is invoiced, else NA. And the first one, again in ocean freight export, we are talking NA. So these NA is what is the question. So which is because it is export of services. He's clarified in the chat that yes, we are talking about the NA only. The first line, export cargo, ocean freight, export of services, nil, NA, RCM not applicable.
Okay. So this is, you're talking the first row in the foreign party billing.
Yes,
Am I correct?
yes. That is what he's confirmed on the chat that yes, that's what we are talking about.
Export cargo, ocean freight, export of services, no GST. This is billing to the foreign party.
Yes.
So there is no GST chargeable, and there is no RCM applicable on this because you are purchasing it in India. So it is already billed to you in forward charges. So if
So
you are
if
purchasing it,
Arunji, if the this is third foreign party, not only foreign party, we are talking about third country shipment.
so you're talking about the last three lines, right?
No, I think Mr. Mohammed is reading these two as together because he's reading the first line and considering that as the third country shipment. We are,
So
I think,
for third country shipment, refer to the last three rows.
yeah, and there is no NA in that. Mr. Mohammed, do you have any question? Okay, he wants to be online. Let me bring him online. Just a minute. Mr. Mohammed Panja has joined from 5 different systems. I don't know which one to allow. I hope the correct one is. Can you speak now, Mr. Mohammed?
Or raise your hand so that we know which system you have joined in from.
Mr. Mohammed, we've put you on. Okay, let me just check again. No, you are not audible. Mr. Mohammed, can you please raise your hand so that the right one I can allow?
No, he has to unmute actually. You have permitted talking, so he has to unmute.
Actually, I can
You
see
are
5.
mute, Mr. Mohammed. Please unmute and speak.
So he's connected from his team, probably is connected from 5 different systems with the same name. So I need to know which one was supposed to be done. So if he can raise hand, it'll help us. Okay, now I'll put the right one so that the other one I can remove. Yes, Mr. Mohammed.
Yeah, now
Yes.
you're audible.
Yeah. So at the top line, you have mentioned that for Indian party, export cargo for ocean freight.
Okay.
If you are taking the service from Indian vendor like shipping lines, they
Right.
will charge you as a IGST 5%.
Correct.
And eligible to take the ITC as well.
Correct.
If same is applicable for foreign vendor, like I'm taking the services from foreign vendor where he has charged 5%, where he has not charged anything to us because it is not applicable under GST. So, and on that part, it is applicable to make to pay under RCM, yes or no?
Yes.
So that's my concern because yes, it is as a RCM on purchase from foreign parties applicable is NA.
Yeah, normally what happens for the ocean export, you're buying the export freight from a party in India. If you are buying it from overseas and if there is a tax applicable, there is a GST applicable in forward charge mechanism, it is also to be paid under RCM. Conceptually, that is the concept.
So, Mr. Arun, this is a small request. Please be specific what you are making the chart because it's still confusing for us. Whether we have written as an NA over there and we are making the RCM payment. But if we follow this chart, which means that we're not going to pay the other RCM.
Sir, if you see the number of rows and if you see the permutation combination that it forms, you will have a whole lot of rows and everybody will get extremely confused. So we have taken what is the general practice based on which we have tried to compile this, and this has actually been compiled. We have cut down the rows from almost like 100 rows to this what is presented on the screen.
So,
just to simplify it.
I agree with your point, but in the left column they have mentioned the Indian party over there. It means we are billing to Indian party, correct? If saying is to Indian party is a forward mechanism charges, so it's compulsory to take a RCM. So my question is that you already mentioned over there as an Indian party, so it should not be an NA, right? It should be RCM.
Sorry, come again. I didn't get that. If it is billed to Indian party,
it is a bill to customer location as an Indian party,
right?
Correct. Means as a company we are billing to the Indian party.
Correct.
Is a forward mechanism we are going to build. If we are billing to the forward mechanism to Indian parties, as a thumb rule, we need to make the payment of the RCM taking service from foreign agent.
Correct? Yeah, But how often do you buy ocean freight from a foreign agent for an export shipment from India?
Sir, is not like how often we are buying. This is only a suggestion that if you are writing as a bill to customer location Indian party, then it should be not an AMI. It should applicable as an RCM.
Okay,
Now, this is confusing for us whether it should be under RCM or under AMI.
Mr. Mohammed, I would suggest that if you can send us a separate email on this, let us deliberate this in our with our taxation committee. There is a confusion in what you are asking, but because there are too many other questions, I'll suggest if you can write to us at admin@amtoi.org. I'll also write the email ID in the chat. We can take that up separately, and I'd request that we go ahead with more questions.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I'm bringing back the. Okay. The next question is from Mr. Hirakant. Foreign party, third country shipment. If we have third country purchase and third country billing, then how can we avail SENVAT, that is ITC, which is paid on RCM basis if there is no local billing?
So as I said, I had specifically mentioned that point that as per ITC rules. So if there is no local billing, then your ITC gets accumulated, and that is how you got to deal with it. So it is as per ITC rules only.
Okay. So the next question is from Mr. Ranjan. DAP service export provided to customer in UAE will be covered under export of services. What would be the tax applicability of availing back-to-back service from vendor in UAE under RCM?
I don't think I understood the question.
Even I did not, Shantanu sir, or
I
can I?
think, first of all, we may say that Incoterms apply between the buyer and seller.
Correct.
Incoterms are not applicable for business between freight forwarders or business between customer, be it importer, exporter, consignee, shipper, whichever name you want, and a freight forwarder or a carrier. So let's restrict Incoterms only to transactions between buyer and seller. Otherwise, we risk. I have fairly understood what he wants to say, but I think we'll give him chance to articulate the question once again.
I'll try and bring Mr. Ranjan on.
Yeah. So forget DAP and all. Just ask the transaction between whom you are billing or who is billing you and what is the billing for and where it is paid. That will make it simple.
Mr. Ranjan Gupta, you can unmute yourself and ask the question again.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So my question is basically when we provide some destination services to a customer who is based out in, say, UAE. So when we bill the charges to them, it will be covered under export of services. I want to understand what would be the applicability of the charges that I will be availing from a local vendor in UAE. Whether I'll have to pay tax under RCM for this service.
You have to, any service that you receive from a foreign party for which, I mean, the bill is coming to you as an Indian party, you have to pay the taxes applicable under RCM.
Thank you.
Okay. So the next question is from Mr. Shashi Kumar. Why GST is not applicable on import shipment for third country?
Import shipment from third country.
Yeah.
Or
Import.
I lost what the
No,
question.
Arun, I have understood. I think I have understood. What he's saying in third country, there is one leg of export from somewhere and there is one leg of import in some other country. That's what he wants to say, not import into India.
Right. So,
and we have distinguished in our chart this
correct.
aspect. You can again show the chart and clarify.
So this is the chart. If you see the last three rows of both Indian party billing and foreign party billing is of the third country. Now, Priya, if you could read out the question from your side. What was the question?
question said why GST is not applicable on import shipment for third country.
Import shipment from third country. Third country shipment is not import, not export, neither export. So, what do you mean by import shipment?
So what he means to say is that, I mean, what I can understand is, or should I ask him to come
You can
online?
ask him in the Q&A, this chat box maybe, because otherwise it will take a lot of time. You can't complete the questions.
Because this is GST. I mean, I
Can
know
I intervene?
Mr. Shashi Kumar is online. You can please unmute yourself and ask the question.
Yeah, so ma'am, my question is, now here it is mentioned that third country shipment, origin and destination charge, export of service, we have not charged any tax, but we are charging 18% RCM on purchase. So why it is not been charged here?
No, who are you billing to? First, go by the first column. Indian party, foreign party.
The foreign party, sir.
You're billing it to foreign party. You're saying third country shipment.
Yeah, correct. My question is,
yeah.
Export of service, why the GST is not been applicable? Why it is nil?
Because
it is export of service. All export of service, the charges will remain nil. We will not be charging to our overseas agent. Please understand the chart very clearly. There is whom are we, our bill as a forwarder, who are we going to bill? Are we going to bill to a foreign party or are we going to bill to a Indian party? If it is for a foreign party, then in that case it is export of services and there will be no GST we have to charge. But the purchase which we have received, there will be RCM to be deposited because that purchase is going to be from another foreign party.
Correct.
Okay.
Does that clarify?
Yeah. Yes, it is clarified. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
If you are billing to an Indian party, the third country shipment, we've already mentioned that it will be applicable. The charges are applicable 18%, 5%, whichever the case is. Let me bring the next question. The next question is from Mr. Dhiren. During GST audit FY 17, 18, 18, 19, GST officers are demanding endorsement from SEZ officers on tax invoices issued to SEZ based customers to confirm that services supplied are for authorized operation. Is this mandatory to obtain on tax invoices such endorsement of SEZ? Well, the question doesn't belong to the current chart. If anyone can still help, because it doesn't belong.
Would you like to take this question or?
Yeah, I'll take it. See, this endorsement is specific for goods, not for services. If you were exporting goods to the SEZ, then an endorsement by the SEZ officer is mandatory because then they verify whether it is in the approved list of imports into SEZ. This is not mandatory for services, which we as freight forwarders at customs represent.
See here, any transaction with SEZ does have its own documentation. When you show that, it is sufficient for such kind of GST queries. All across the country, people have faced this. And at best, now they've started asking for a chartered accountant certificate if it's required. That's all.
Again, adding to what had just been clarified, if you still face this difficulty, do write to us, as Dushan Bhai already mentioned. We will take it up with the concerned authorities. We move to the next question.
Yeah, the next question is from Mr. Ritesh. For export of containers under my foreign agent's contract and freight is paid in foreign country by agent, we charge USD 30 as service charge to our foreign agent. I suppose 18% GST is applicable on RCM basis on this USD 30.
Perfect.
बिल्कुल है.
Yes. This, no, Arunji, please read this again. You mean to say
For export
$30?
of containers.
Yes. So there is no, this is export of service, no?
Export, we charge USD 30 as service charges to our foreign agent. No, it is not
No, it
applicable.
should not be. This is export of service. I'm exporting my service.
No, sir, no, sir. This is he is receiving as a service charge for his 30. This is income. So since it's a coming in as a foreign exchange, it's an intermediary service which he is getting as an agent. He has to pay RCM on it.
Pure agent service.
Yeah, not pure agent, sir. Pure agent is between two Indian. It is not a pure agent. It is a service charge, which is the handling charge or the profit share or whatever description you give. He has to pay RCM on it. Either you treat $30 as inclusive of tax or pay additional 18%. And anyway, he gets a ITC of it.
Yeah,
But
he
sir,
will get.
if it is export of export shipment, will we not be raising this under LUT?
No.
Isn't this
We should definitely keep this a question which we need to deliberate upon.
Yes.
Although, yes, on the face of it, what Sitaram sir is saying seems logical, but let's deliberate this. This is a question to be deliberated. Yes.
I'm marking this question, Ritesh. We will get back to you on this after we discuss it within the taxation committee. The next question is from Mr. Sachin. Is RCM applicable on foreign purchase in import cargo ocean freight? Please advise. The answer is yes. The next question is Mr. Sunny. Should I pay RCM before October 23, which I received invoices from our agent against X works charges and destination charges? Again, the answer is yes. It's not. There has been no change since October 2023. It has been there since beginning that the RCM is applicable on the X works charges and in case of export, the destination charges. X works charges in case of import shipment and destination charges in case of export shipment. The next question is from Mr. Santosh. Thanks for informing circular number so and so. Can you explain GST on handling charges, profit share billed to overseas agent? I think the profit share billed, if we want to continue all of that under the deliberation, we'll probably come back later.
Yeah, profit share is one thing we have already kept for deliberation, so we'll get back on that.
Other handling charges or something, the chart covers it. Again, Mr. Sachin's, is RCM applicable on freight import, freight purchase? If yes, then how to apply in return?
RCM applicable on foreign import.
Foreign import ocean freight.
Yes.
Yes, it is applicable. Then how to apply in return? When you book it,
that is something I don't want to deliberate on, as I said.
Yes, your CA can guide you. It has to be RCM has to be deposited. Mr. Vijay Shankar's question: container handling done at Indian port and invoice raised to foreign party. Is it zero rated service or export of service?
Export of service. Clarification 103/2019.
Okay. Mr. Anshul's question: in case of door-to-door delivery shipment, export of services, whether GST RCM is applicable on X works charges charged by overseas agent?
Yes.
Yes.
It is in the chart.
I think he's talking about door delivery charges charged by overseas agent.
Yes.
There will not be X works charges. X works charges would be applicable from India. So you're talking about the
moot point, the clear point is if there is GST applicable, depending on where you buy it from, either you pay it in forward charge or you have to pay in the RCM, period.
Mr. Afzal's question we've already taken. Then is question from Ms. Janvi. Shipment is export, freight prepaid. Destination charges to be collected by consignee / destination agent. Will GST be applicable? If yes, at what rate? If no, under which section this is exempted?
So something which you are not billing at all, there is no GST applicable.
Yes.
So there is no section required.
Yeah. So Mr. Vijay Shankar, slot payment done by overseas agent to outside India for shipment, port of loading and port of destination is outside India. What is implication of GST and RCM? We've already covered that in the chart.
It's
We've already covered the third.
last three.
Yes, both for billing to Indian party and billing to overseas agent. It is covered in the chart. If you have any specific clarification regarding this, I'd request you to rephrase the question and send it to us. Mr. Kamal's question is, please explain how the GST is nil in billing to overseas agent for import cargo, other origin destination charges equaling to...
One short intervention on this question.
Yes, sir.
When you say slot charges, it is actually ocean freight.
Correct.
Yeah.
You may have your own container, but finally it is ocean freight.
So please explain how the GST is nil in billing to overseas agent for import cargo, other origin destination charge equal to export of services, no GST. Arunji, if you can open the
actually, no, it's not about the chart. Here they're talking of section which is applicable. So here the section 13(2) applies, and that is for place of supply. Now, if you read that and if you've seen the presentation, I have very clearly defined the three sections which we need to be very, very, prudent about. And if you read those sections, this qualifies as export of service. That is our opinion. And this is the moot point which actually had been discussed in great detail by us, because this was one point of contention, which was even Afzal Bhai was raising the same point. So it is our opinion that it will qualify as export of services, and there will be no GST charge on your billing. However, whatever is your purchase, on that you will have to pay GST under RCM. That is our view on this.
So the next question is from Kanchan. If services provided from outside India to outside India, but invoice raised to Indian party, so GST is applicable? Our answer is yes.
Again, refer to the last three lines.
Refers to the chart. Even the RCM on purchase is applicable. Both are applicable. Question from Mr. Vijay Shankar again. Freight collect by overseas agent for shipment, port of loading and port of destination is outside India. Is it zero rated service or export of services? Again, this is covered in the chart. This is billing to the overseas agent, right? So,
for a moment.
Yes, please.
For the benefit of all the audience who are the participants, zero export of service is called a zero rated service because so far it is not taxable. That's all. Tomorrow, if there's a tax of 1%, 2%, 3%, then it becomes a taxable service. Zero rated service, whether to SEZ or exports out of India, it's just a service, it's export service. So don't get bogged down by zero rated or export. It's an export of service. Thank you. Any other suggestion?
Yes, give me a second. In the meanwhile, I was copying more questions which are coming up. Just a minute. Back to the chart.
Sitaram, what implication it will have on the administrative and all those charges we reverse at the end of year, whether it is zero rated or nil or exempt?
It will definitely get covered. You have to do that common credit reversal.
So that's why I'm asking a question.
It will definitely be affected. It has to be done.
So the next question is from Ms. Janvi. Shipment is round.
Priya, a previous question we did not answer it. I mean, I could not actually follow what it was written.
Freight collect by overseas agent for shipment. I mean, it is billing to third party and third country shipment. Billing to overseas third country shipment. Okay. Is it zero rated service or export of service? It is export of service.
Freight collect by overseas agent.
And who pays the freight? The contracting carrier.
That is exactly my question here. Who's paying the freight? If it is a freight collect to the overseas agent, the freight is paid by overseas agent, right? So if you're not doing the billing, where is the...
How I am understanding this question is, or either we can ask Mr. Vijay Shankar to come online. How I am understanding the shipment is that we are supposed to charge to the overseas agent, billing to foreign party, and the shipment is port of loading and port of destination outside India.
So whatever you are purchasing, it is export of service, whatever you are purchases under RCM. So that is the last three lines of the chart. Please refer to.
Yes. So the next question is Ms. Janvi. Shipment is round trip. Empty import freight is payable by agent, destination agent, which is chargeable to freight forwarding, whether in this case RCM is applicable. Sorry, the question is not properly drafted.
No, I think she has drafted correctly. What she's saying is it's a round trip. And the empty move is payable by the destination agent. Now, whether Indian party is the destination or foreign party is the destination agent, I think they have to clarify and then we can answer it.
Yeah. So the next question is from Mr. Sushil Kumar. Is GST applicable if service provider by us Indian freight forwarder? Port of loading is China, port of destination is USA. GST is applicable if billing in USA, billing to USA party under LUT, buying from Indian freight forwarder, can I take ITC?
So again, you have to refer to the last three rows of both billing to Indian party and billing to overseas agent. If you refer to that, I think this will bring clarity to this particular question, because again, it is a cross trade shipment or merchant trade shipment that we are usually coming across. Again, it is very clearly defined in that what has to be done. If you refer to that, you will come to know.
No, but Arun, 26 question doesn't necessarily mean third country. Doesn't say third country.
Port of loading is China.
Port of loading China, port of destination USA.
Okay, got it.
Sir, I will also, since it's 5:30 already, and we have I can probably take 2-3 more questions, and rest of the questions, because there are about 15 more questions, I would put them, compile them, and hand it over to Arun and all the panelists to write it down and have send it to all the members in the next 2-3 days, in the next 48 hours, so that we can take it. Otherwise, it's very difficult to have all the people online for the next few hours.
We'll try to answer as many as possible, but 48 hours timeline seems a bit steep, but we'll try to answer it. Yes.
Sir, Shantanu sir, please ensure it is answered in 48 hours.
Yeah.
So we have two experts. We are just standby. Arun Kumar, Sitaram, and Rama.
No. So I'm saying you please ensure they answer 48.
Yes, we will come with a stick.
Renuka, we are taking.
Okay, can I make a statement?
Yes, please.
I just want to add. I find many of these questions are repetitive.
Yes.
Just summarize. I'll just summarize 2 or 3 points, subject to the approval of Mr. Arun and Mr.
Please.
See, let's understand third party. For you, it's third party. It's for one, it is export. For one, it is the other, it is import. For you sitting in India, you are doing the invoicing, you are doing the coordination. For you, it's export of service. Any commission that you earn has to be accounted for in RCM. Period. Similarly, if you are going to import anything, and if there's going to be any origin charges that you're going to incur besides, other than ocean freight, it's going to be you're going to pay in RCM. Similarly, export, ocean freight you have taken in 5%. The other door delivery charges or whatever you call it, DAP, DDU, any number of terms you can use it. Any other charge you're going to spend, your overseas agent is going to spend and you're going to collect from the Indian customer, you're going to pay RCM on it. These are the broad parameters on which all our fraternity should work on. It makes it like
Arun, let's include this as a footnote to the chart.
yes.
That will amplify what we are saying, just yes, no, and all. If we put a footnote, it will bring a lot of clarity.
We'll do that. We'll do that.
Make it easier.
We'll do
Thank you.
Yeah, but so whatever we can.
Should I?
We'll do it for another 10 minutes.
I can compile and give you more time to answer. I think it's 5:35, 1.5 hours of too much of brainstorming.
If the members aren't interested in knowing, we'll be happy to.
Yes, we
Yeah,
have.
we have 191 still there out of 194. So maybe.
Yes. So I'm coming back. Okay. Coming back to, the next question is from ATC. In case of imports.
Geeta ma'am had, I think, just written chat question 25. What was that?
Shipment is round trip empty import freight. We've understood that. And she wanted to be online for that.
Okay.
Should I allow?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, just a minute. Oh, is that from Geeta ma'am? Okay. Geeta ma'am, you are online. You can please ask the question. Geeta ma'am, you are online. Geeta ma'am?
Geeta, you have to unmute and speak out.
She's unmute, but she's not speaking.
Okay, so we'll come back then.
And remove the permission because it will become confusion. Going back to the GST is question number 28. In case of import of service, the RCM shall not apply if the foreign company has permanent establishment in India. In such case, the transaction shall fall under forward charge itself. This is just an addition to the explanation.
Go next.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Santosh Shukla, please explain import of service and why RCM is not applicable on export cargo ocean freight and import cargo ocean freight.
Explain import of service.
I
why RCM is not applicable on what exactly is required to be explained on import of service, I'm not sure. And why RCM is not applicable on export ocean freight and import ocean freight? No, it is applicable. हाँ दिखा नहीं applicable. Not
Again, I think it is concerning the third country billing or overseas billing. If you could point out to the point in the chart, it will be easier for us to take up. I'd request please write down to admin@amtoi.org with more clarification on what you all require. The next question is from Mr. Santosh Kumar. Any specific format for agreement with overseas agent? It is out of course question for now.
Out of syllabus.
Out of syllabus, out of syllabus question for now. Deepika, no RCM on air export and ocean export when there is a forward charge.
Correct.
Rest. Surekha, making invoice to foreign parties, sea export, is GST applicable? Again, the answer is no. It is export of services. Billing foreign party, export cargo, ocean freight. As per GST charge, we have mentioned nil GST for export ocean freight. What about local charges? It will be nil only.
Yes, that is also
It
mentioned.
is nil. We've mentioned that in the chart.
It's a third
Should
or fourth
we charge IGST? It's a continuation. Should we charge IGST on local charge? If the local charges are also billed to the foreign party, then the charges are nil. If the local charges are billed to the shipper in India, then GST is applicable. IGST, CGST, SGST, whatever the case may be, is applicable. The question is from Mr. Chetan. Import freight collecting port of lading destination outside India, than in India POD. It should charge as RCM which freight collect at load port.
Import freight collecting POL destination outside India. Then India POD, it should. I'm not able to figure out what this means.
I think he means to say port of loading is outside India and port of destination is in India.
So
Should
import freight हो गया?
RCM be which freight collect at load port? It is okay.
Freight is collected in India, they are saying specifically.
Yeah, so if I am assuming we are talking about overseas agent billing, if they are charging us ocean freight on import shipment, we have to deposit RCM on
Under
that
RCM, yes.
under RCM, and we will be collecting from the customer 5%. So both are applicable. I hope, Chetan, we've been able to answer your question. If we have not understood your question properly, please write down to us separately. The last question from Mr. Shashi Kumar. While doing overseas billing, will GST be applicable on shipping line charges? All billing to overseas agent will be considered as export of service as per our chart. In case of any further clarification, I'd really request everyone to please write down to admin@amtoi.org. We will compile the questions. We will come back to you. Thank you very much for that absolute knowledgeable session. Haresh ji, can you please sum it up for us?
Before Harish Bhai does that, one very humble submission. As we were introduced with a lot of generosity, I would like to admit that we are students of the subject, not the experts. Once again, please consult your respective, GST consultants or your lawyers or whoever you feel competent to handle this before you, apply this. And again, I have no hesitation in saying there are a few questions which are very interesting and we would like to study them again. We also encourage you to please come forward and participate in the discussions that we hold. It is not that it is a restrictive discussion. We hold open discussions and there are a lot of debates that happen on the subject. It will be very interesting and it will be gain for everybody if you come forward and participate in those discussions. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Harish Bhai, over to you.
Thank you.
Give
Sure, Sitaram, please.
I would like to just add one more thing. To all the members who are attending this webinar, please do not go by what your neighbor says or WhatsApp University talks about. Please pick up the book, have a look at it, read it. You will understand much more of your business and GST than even us, is what is my suggestion. Thank you.
Okay, great. I think we had a wonderful session. There were too many questions in my mind which I have not asked, which we'll discuss, I guess, offline. But first, let me start by thanking, all the panelists, especially Arunji, Sitaramji, Dushyant, Shantanuji for being there. Mr. Rama also came and joined in for some time. We all know that GST is still it's evolving. And so are we evolving with GST, and we are learning by the day. We've got specialists over here who've actually looked at things, understood them, brought them forward to us. The reason behind holding something like this, as mentioned, was that as an industry, if we move ahead in uniformity, it will help us present cases to the GST Council and the government in the right manner, which will take us in the right path and, and create a uniform way to move forward for all of us. So yes, while this is just the first of our series, we will keep coming back as changes take place, and I'm speaking on behalf of all the speakers. So I hope I can take that liberty of doing that. But overall, I think it was a wonderful session. So many new aspects were opened, so many discussions which led us to understand that maybe we are wrong somewhere and we are right somewhere. But I guess these are the things that put together will lead us to the right path. So thank you again. Thank you, everyone. And with folded hands, I think this is one of the sessions that will never end if we don't want it to. So, but yes, you all have a homework. You have 48 hours to answer questions as given by our principal. And last but not the least, I have to thank my training committee. Both of them are on screen and amazing people. They work so hard and they ask me to introduce and say thank you. But
Special thanks to Priya. In spite of not keeping good health, she has really
doesn't even look like
managed
that.
to. Yeah, special thanks to Priya for that.
At the
No, but overall, I think we had an amazing session and we look
Yes.
forward to many such more sessions to come in.
I'd also
And
like to
last but
remind.
okay. Go ahead, Priya. Take it.
Yeah,
Take it on.
I'd also like to remind that we are going to have another important session on 26th, coming Monday, same at 4 o'clock. We're going to have almost the same panel. It's another important topic on import service distributor, ISD. There has been a whole lot of questions and, misunderstanding on how ISD should be dealt. All the idea of all these three, the past in within the past 10 days we've had, now this is going to be the third session between last Saturday and coming Monday in 10 days. The reason is we want that the industry should speak one language, one uniform way of working, so that we don't have issues from the government at all, that or the customers or anyone, that you are doing this, why is the other person not doing this? So please let us all be working in a uniform way, and that is the absolute goal of this. Any other topics, suggestions you have for training, we would be more than happy to take it up. And thank you once again to all the panelists.
And if somebody also feels that they can train or be come forward and train the people in the association, please write to us. We'll be happy to have you as a panelist or a speaker and please give your topic of discussion also. It'll be wonderful to have someone who can share their knowledge with all of us.
Priya, we have some questions posted just now. So before we close the app, maybe you can copy them.
I've done that, sir. Don't worry. I've already.
Included a thank you.
I am a multitasker. I've already done that. I've already done that. A couple of people wanted to come
Sir, we're all
online.
learning from you.
A couple of people wanted to come online, so I'm sorry I could not allow you to come online due to the paucity of the time. The chat questions have not been noted. All the questions in the Q&A box have been noted, and we'll get back to you with an answer, hopefully within the 48 hours. Great. Thank you once again, everyone.
Great.
Have a
Thank you. Have a great evening, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.